I'm not enough. I am not enough. This feeling of inner scarcity is not the voice of the universe, nature, or the highest self. The thought, what can I do to control, extract, or manipulate this person or these resources, is also not the voice of the universal forces. It is not in alignment with Dharma, the natural law that we Hindus uphold and have carried through cultural memory and body. It is not in line with our way of life, Sanatan Dharma, the eternal path. We follow the eternal principles that our rishis directly realized through deep meditation and inner vision. Through Shruti, divine revelation, they received the Vedas, the timeless source of Dharma, cosmic order, and the vast sacred knowledge systems of Bharat. By the grace of the divine, despite over 1,000 years of disruption, oppression, and barbarism, not to mention the ongoing genocide of Hindus, we have been blessed to retain the wisdom and knowledge of Dharma. The continuity of Sanatan Dharma is upheld by the strength of our ancestral lineages, the sacred traditions of Sampradaya, the Guru Shishya Parampara, the teacher-disciple lineage, and the oral tradition which has preserved our way of life across generations. These diverse dharmic teachings guide us in living in alignment with Satya, truth, and Rita, the cosmic order, which form the very essence of Dharma itself. Do you know what it feels like when someone or some entity, maybe your boss, your workplace, family, or another system, doesn't allow you to speak the truth of your own nature or what feels right for you? What happens when your voice is suppressed by a force outside of you? How does it feel when you can't express who you are, the truth of your nature, your pain and grief, your history, and the history of your people? I was recently reminded of that pain when a magazine I once wrote for refused to publish my Vedic astrology article. In the article, I prefaced the piece by explaining that Sanatan Dharma represents the oldest living civilization and has endured centuries of disruptions and attempts at destruction. Despite this, the publication rejected it due to their political stance. I responded, if it doesn't align with your specific agenda, then fine. But this is just a minor event. The reality is that native teachers are often denied the opportunity to teach in Western spaces, especially if you're brown. If you can't adapt by mimicking the dominant culture, superficial appearance and all, and reduce yoga to mere breathing exercises with some stretching, you might just get lucky, if you beg hard enough. F that. Do you think my ancestors and those of this land, of Bharat, survived horror and brutality so I could betray my own identity just to be underpaid for teaching my cultural traditions? Make it make sense. The point is this: when you're a true sadhak, your political identity is not your practice. Your practice is about discovering the truth of who you truly are. The dharma of yoga, its ultimate purpose, is moksha, the seeking of inner freedom. It's not about increasing attachments to the material world. As the world becomes more polarized, true leaders will be those who have conquered themselves, not those trying to conquer the world around them. This is the essence of true leadership. That publication is driven by political interests, centering the experience of whiteness while marginalizing indigenous cultures. It denies our voices and history, distorting the facts. I didn't actually say anything that was historically inaccurate. This is what Indians have faced for centuries: the gaslighting of our culture and history, the suppression of our voices, and the stifling of freedom of expression. And when we do speak up, we are met with various forms of violence. I've mentioned this before in Series 1, Episode 3, Narcissism and Colonialism are the same entity. If you've ever battled a narcissist, you know that the only way to win is by refusing to play their game. Yet when we, the living carriers of Sanatan Dharma, don't engage, these ego-driven forces continue to control our narrative. It's not anyone's business whether we have learned our knowledge, quote, correctly. Our journey is one of grief, healing, and relearning. Those who wish to claim our knowledge systems, claiming that they've improved upon them, are not improving. They are colonizing. And that doesn't mean they get to be centered. Here's the truth. This is our reality. I'm often asked, where are the Indians in this practice? Why can't we see them online? The answer is simple. We are purposely denied visibility and a voice. Those who claim the spaces of Indian knowledge systems in the West are often focused solely on self-profit, not on doing what's right, uplifting those who have been denied a voice in their own cultural practices, nor giving back in any meaningful way to the communities that have preserved this wisdom for others to profit from. Now let's explore how the idea of community service or collective duty is inherent in the concept of Dharma. So moving on, we'll discuss the different types of Dharma. Sanatan Dharma, along with all of its Vedic and Vedantic knowledge, remains incomplete without the concept of Samanya Dharma. Underlying all forms of Dharma, including the various paths of yoga, is Samanya Dharma, the common ethical duties that form the foundation of Bharatiya Sanskriti, Indian culture. These universal principles, rooted in the Shastras, the Vedic scriptures, guide all beings toward righteous living. In terms of knowledge, Dharma is understood as Satya, truth, the ultimate principle that aligns the individual with the cosmic order. In practice, Dharma refers to righteous action, the conscious expression of Satya through daily life, and is lived in accordance with the Shastras, which impart the eternal wisdom of the Vedic tradition. Thus, Dharma is the pursuit of truth and right action, guided by the universal principles that uphold cosmic harmony, known as Rita, the natural order of the universe. So first we have Samanya Dharma, which consists of ethical codes and practices that help align our inner world with the outer world. Dharma serves no purpose if it is not for the greater good of humankind and the natural world. There is an inherent goodness in this way of living, as it is intended for the benefit of all beings. There is no single English word that fully captures the profound meaning of the Sanskrit concept of dharma, which is why its interpretation is determined only by context. Dharma is too profound and fluid to be confined to a simple definition. For instance, dharma is not merely duty or law, but refers to the cosmic order that upholds society, nature, and the individual. It is the foundational principle that sustains the balance and harmony of the universe. Dharma evolves according to time, place, and circumstance, and it permeates every aspect of life. In understanding Dharma, we must also recognize the concept of Rita, the dynamic, inherent energy of nature that drives and sustains Dharma. Rita represents the movement and flow of cosmic order. When expressed through speech, Rita manifests as Satya, truth, and when embodied as ethical duty through action, it takes the form of Dharma. So, if you're a yoga practitioner, seeker, or sadhak, you are likely already familiar with Satya, which is outlined by Maharishi Patanjali in the Yoga Sutras. It is one of the ethical duties in the first limb of yoga, the yamas, and represents truthfulness. Satya, or truth, is a foundational principle within this practice. These practices are essential to the dharma of yoga. Now, the Hatha Yoga Pradipika lists 10 ethical guidelines, which closely mirror the universal values found in Samanya Dharma, such as Daya, which is compassion, Kshama, patience or forgiveness, and Dana, charity. Overall, the yamas and niyamas provide a framework for individual practitioners to align with Dharma. On the other hand, Samanya Dharma refers to the collective ethical duties and principles that apply to all of humanity. These are shared values found in other philosophical and historical texts, including the Bhagavad Gita and the Mahabharata. It's important to remember that English translations often fail to fully capture the depth and nuance of these concepts. The key idea here is that there are many different forms of dharma, and an individual's unique dharma will depend on their place in the world, personal circumstances, and spiritual path. Hey, it's Payal. There are more types of dharma, and I will be sharing them in the next episode released this week. Subscribe so you don't miss out, especially if you're a cycle breaker or you identify as the black sheep of your family. These next concepts will matter to your path specifically. And if you've been feeling stuck for a long time, misaligned in some way, or questioning your true path, I've got an antidote. Join my online writing and embodiment workshop in just under 2 weeks, where you'll reconnect with Dharma and integrate key yogic principles. Spend 90 minutes with me to awaken your voice and vision and gain clear direction for the next 3 to 6 months. From emotionally sensitive to embodied goddess on her power path, this is your time to rise. Registration closes next week. Click the link in the description box below to sign up now. Rise up, warrior.